Hey everybody, you're watching Raw with Marty Gallagher and JP Bryce on ICTV.
Yep.
Today we're going to be discussing one of the most incredible feats in powerlifting, which is the Kirk Karwoski 1,000 pounds for two squat. And, a lot of people have seen this. They know it. It's all over YouTube. It's all over Instagram now. But few people were there. Few people know what was going on behind the scenes. So that's what we're going to talk about today. There's a lot of interesting stuff that led up to this, during it, and why he was doing this at that particular day, what competition was coming up. And the man that was there himself was his coach, Marty Gallagher, and he's with us today here. So
I can't remember. I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, I know you remember this one. So let's set the stage. Let's kind of go back. First of all, where was this? When was it?
All right. Can I slip a word in here?
Yeah.
The reason this whole subject has come up is because we've had the equivalent of archaeologists finding the Dead Sea Scrolls. Somebody found a second video of the 1,000 double taken from another angle. It's like, I don't know, this is a Grutter Kennedy assassination video, and I'd never seen the damn thing. When was that? What year was that? Was that 94?
I think that was 94.
94, okay, so that's what, 24 years ago?
Yeah, and the guy that actually shot that second angle was a guy named Burt Wagner.
Oh, I know Burt really well. Bert's a buddy. I dubbed Burt the world's strongest photographer. He had a 700 deadlift, and he could reverse bench 440, weigh in like 240. Oh, he was a good hillbilly artist. So let me tell you. But I don't remember Burt being there, and Burt was a pretty big presence. But regardless, I guess he was, because you know what? All of a sudden, the damn video came up, and it's just a more dramatic angle, I think. The other one was the one that everyone's seen. That was shot by Bart Anderson, who we would use him as like video review workshop. Like, okay, Bart, get down at this angle, so the perfect angle, so we can see depth right in the squat, so we could see the pauses in the benches, so we could see the deads, locked out. So those were like those videos were taken as training aids, which we would review after the workout and make corrections. But this other one, this video that we're talking about that's just surfaced, Burt was a real artist kind of guy. And you can see almost the film noir in this, the quality of the thing. How many hits are they up to?
Well, Ed Cohn put it on his Instagram. It's got 50 or 60,000 views, and some other Instagram sites put it on. So all in all, it's probably got 100,000 views, and we just put it up. We found it somewhere.
Crazy.
And Eddie put it up, and it was been up a couple of days, about a week or so.
Crazy. Now, let me loop her back around to your question. I think that's why all the interest in this is this second uncovered mystery video, which is really cool. Also you can see me. For the first time, I'm in the left in the video. I always spotted Kirk on his right. That was my spot. So in most of the videos, I had Bart down below me shooting the squat video. So he's kneeling down so he can shoot the thing at the right depth, so we can tell whether he breaks parallel in the review. So that was real important. So anyway, getting back to this, this was good. His best cycle. He'd done 980 the previous week for a double. Now, Kirk is Frankenstein, but Marty is Dr. Frankenstein. Okay? Kirk, myself, and Ed Cohn devised his training. We took sort of the Hugh Cassidy Ultra Basics that I learned from Hugh, threw in some Chalet deadlift stuff, and then Ed and Doug Furness, particularly Ed. I used to talk to Ed almost every week, and we would talk about Kirk, and we'd make adjustments and stuff on him. He was a minimalistic trainer. He didn't do, Eddie was like a power bodybuilder. He would do a lot of work in a lot of different exercises in addition to the core lifts, right? Whereas Kirk, you know, squat and leave, you know. There was no leg curls. There was no calf raises. We dicked around with that stuff. There was one time we tried doing leg presses. Everybody hurt their backs loading and unloading like the 20 we had to put on each side for him to get a workout, right? Our backs were more worn out than...
He said something about that. He said the plates were over in some other room, and then they had to bring them over to the leg press.
Hundreds. We had to load up with all the hundreds, and he's like yawning as he's doing it, going, I don't know if this is doing anything. I said, oh, God. So anyway, getting back to this. So he 980 the previous week, tough. Now, in addition, he's also benching, at that point in the cycle, probably 550 for a double, deadlifting 800 for a double. So he's doing an inclining 445 for 5 all that week, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of tonnage, baby. So now we come to the 1,000 week, and it's like the 980 was tough, and he had a tough training week. Now he's got to redouble it. So the entire week, and I think, aren't we going to try to get him on next week?
Yeah, we're going to try to get him on. He's actually having another shoulder surgery tomorrow, so he's getting all fixed up.
Okay.
And
well, I don't want to tell too much on him. If he's going to be on, he can tell himself, you know. But I can tell you from my perspective, we were. Let's just say I would have taken 1,000 for one. That would have been great, right? Going into the nationals, because then in 10 days after that, we're going to the nationals, right?
Yeah, I think it was
13
13 days.
days, right?
After that, but it's interesting, and I just talked to him about this yesterday. I go 1,000 for one, okay, but what made you do 2?
Because the one he killed it. He killed it, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. He said that the weekend before, he sat in his house and he basically shooed everybody away.
Yep.
I think he shooed away his girlfriend and everybody. He just wanted to be alone because he wanted to really just think about this. And he said he had
every moment.
He said he had one voice on one side doing be safe and do one, telling him that. And then the other voice on the other shoulder was saying, go for 2, go for 2.
Yeah, do something that's never been done.
Something that never has been done. So he decides to do 2, but the video is interesting because if you look at it, I don't think anybody knew or was really ready for what he was going to do, because after the first one, you see the guys start to get ready to walk him back.
Right.
After the first rep.
Right. And I yelled, leave it alone.
Yeah, and he stays there, and everybody's like, holy crap, he's going for another one. Nobody's ever done this before.
And the second one was better than the first. Because it had to be. Because his life depended on it.
They were both beautiful. The first one just flew up, and you go, that went up so fast, how could that be a grand, you know?
And this is a 272-pound guy. This is not a 400-pound dude.
Yeah.
You know, that's the other amazing thing. Now, in hindsight, at the Nationals, we took the 1,003 was actually a second attempt. Okay, we hit 1,000 for 2 in training, but you know, you got travel, you got hotel, you got a lot of factors leading up to the Nationals that don't make it as ideal as getting in your car, driving to Mac, and trying 1050, which coming off 1,000 double, that's 5%. That's reasonable, right?
Yeah.
But you're going to the Nationals. You just hit 1,000. He makes 1,003 on the second attempt, and holy hell breaks loose. It's just New Year's Eve, right? In the auditorium, going crazy.
Right. Yeah.
So I call for 1034 on the third, which is actually a conservative call, but it was anticlimactic. We'd shot our proverbial wad. You know, there was, the emotional drain from doing the 1,000. It was impossible to come back from that and recharge your batteries.
The 1,003.
Yeah.
When he got that, what was the previous record? Do you remember?
Well, you have to think of it in two ways. The previous record he held, and the previous record to that, he held that, and the previous record to that, he held that too. You know what I'm saying? He had a reign where he set, I don't know how many 275-pound squat records, a lot of them. You go back to before Kirk, and the best 275-pound guys are hitting, 900, You know what I'm saying? That would be a really, really, really excellent lift. 880, fantastic. That was Gamble. John was an 880 guy, and he was the king of the 75ers before Kirk came along.
So the previous year before he hits this 1,003, so that year previous he broke the record as well, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Probably the year before that.
What was that?
I couldn't tell you. You'd have to ask him. I don't have that kind of memory. I just know that every year we were national for 10 years. You follow me?
Yeah.
For like the first 3 years, he was sucking exhaust fumes. Okay,
Yeah.
He was at the back of the pack because he was up against Willie Bell, Thor Kritzky, Dave Jacoby. Joe Ladinier. I mean, that was a killer damn class at 242, and he's a young boy, right? He's not matured. It took him to the fourth year. We actually won I think that's the year we won at Super. He won the Nationals at Super Heavyweight. We went up to 275, and we got there, and Mike Hall, who was the defending Super Heavyweight champion, didn't enter at the last moment. It was a training injury, right? So rather than go against Calvin Smith, who was the defending national champion, I said, Kirk, let's eat some cheeseburgers and lift super, because he was right at 275, but he was a doughy 275 then. He wasn't the monster that you see in the 1,000 for 2 videos. But he actually won his first national championships as a super heavyweight. Then he won at 75, then he won at 42. So he's national champion in 3 weight classes.
Right. Well, he came a long way and definitely came into his own. And I'm going through some videos right now that go back to the 94 Nationals, and I'm going through it all right now. You wouldn't, but this guy was just the biggest monster. I mean, there's some
Physically.
videos of him doing deadlifts that you're not going to believe it. I mean, we're going to have this up in probably a few weeks, but it's just unbelievable. But
He was so
getting
dense.
back to the 1,000 for 2, this is like one of the most revered lifts anywhere. I mean, this thing was incredible. I think it was filmed at the Maryland Athletic Club. Is that right?
Yeah, Mac. Also, the thing about it is that he was a rock star. He was super charismatic. He thrived on the adulation. He handled it well. He would use crowd energy to up his game, right? He was built that way. Like with Ed Cohn had a quiet ferocity about him. I mean, he was fierce, but it was just not demonstrative like Kirk's was. Kirk was out there, and it wasn't. It was natural for Karwoski. He had that type of personality, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, he totally did, because he was just such an aggressive guy, and he was able to bring that into the gym and direct it to the barbell, you know. And you talk about the crowd just going wild. I think the crowd was feeding off him, and he was feeding off the crowd. So it was like a big love fest over there when he was competing.
Oh man, you should have seen him. You should have seen him in Europe. Oh my God, they loved him in Europe. I hate all Americans, but they love Kirk.
Who was the? You watch that video, and there's a bunch of guys. So there was always, he kind of had a team around him, didn't he? He had you. He had
Bobby was always rapping his knees,
Bob
and
Myers was usually always there.
always there, and Quentin.
Yeah, Quentin was there, and they used to compete together as well.
Yeah, well, Quentin didn't compete really. That was not.
He's Quentin's in the beer video too.
Oh yeah, Quentin was a little like Kirk's aide de camp. Let's put it that way. That would be diplomatic.
Yeah. And Burt Wagner, the guy that filmed that other angle we were talking about.
Yep.
He's also mentioned in the beer video when Kirk's having the metric shake and Coors Light.
Yep.
He said, "Let Burt Wagner try this," or something. He said.
Yeah, Burt was married to a female bodybuilder named Claudia Wagner, and they were quite a team. I mean, they were a good power couple. They were serious players, and Burt always shot good video.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and then Kirk's, he's got a few other videos. He's got the 800 for 5 and
My favorite.
No knee wraps or anything. So he's done some great. The 1003 is on video as well. We've got that on our website, but.
Well, the 800 for 5 was earlier in that same cycle.
Yeah.
That was like 5 weeks. 5 weeks before he did the 1,000 for 2. He did the 800 for 5. And I had always wondered if he had been able to just stay raw for 800 for 5 is pretty damn good.
Well, in competition.
Well, at 242, we posted an 826 raw.
Right.
But he was 10 years retired when he did that. That was a comeback. Yeah, you know that. And that was actually his second attempt. He pulled a quad on that. We were actually going to go for 845 or 850 on a third. But we had to settle for 826, which of course no one really is matched below parallel with no knee wraps and no monolift or none of that stuff. But again, he was 10 years retired when he did that. What he could have done in his peak, I don't know, man. I'm thinking 900. Unbelievable. And again, for a small guy, this is a 5'7", 275-pound guy. This is not some 6'4", 350-pound dude, you know.
Right.
So that was the other thing.
For this.
Pardon?
This was definitely his calling. I mean, this is Kirk Karwoski. That's what he was made for.
Yes. Luckily, he didn't want to become a professional basketball player or a swimmer.
He said he could run a 4, back in the day. He said he was pretty fast and athletic. He ran a 4.6 in the 40. So
I think every 10 years that goes down a tenth.
Well, yeah, it's just like when you go fishing, Fish is always bigger. No, that's what he says. I mean, I gotta believe him. I mean, he seems like he was a pretty athletic guy.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he wasn't.
There's
He
film
was.
of him that we're also going to be putting out when he and Ed and a bunch of guys went to South Africa to compete in IPF Worlds. There's a award ceremony where the first place position, he goes out and, you know, the first place block is like a big plyo box, and he does a vertical leap, and, you know, as bulked out as he is, man, he was pretty agile.
That's right. That's right.
So,
like a cat.
he was like a cat. And speaking of that, we've got an African safari video coming out of him and Ed and some other guys. It's pretty funny. I think you guys will like it. So
Oh my God.
that's hopefully going to come out next week.
The infamous safari trip.
Yeah, it's pretty funny footage.
There's video of that, huh? One of the members, one of the guys who was riding in that Land Rover almost got thrown out for the Tigers. Seriously, they'd had enough. They'd had enough of his shenanigans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's okay. We'll talk about that next time.
Roger that. So let's get Kirk on and have his unique perspective.
Yeah, he wants to come on and talk about it. Obviously, there's a lot he can add to this, and you know, so maybe in a couple of weeks he'll come on.
And again, in addition to that, like I said, that same week, an 800 for 2 double and the deadlift and a 445. He might have repped that. He might have done that for like 3 or 5. I can't remember. And then big bench, all right then at the same time. Wasn't like a one lift specialist where like, you know, we're going into a deadlift only competition. There was a lot of really good lifts going on simultaneously. But
Yeah.
he was
good.
Yeah.
And he says, only if I could have had bigger hands, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, or if I'd have insisted on making him do sumo.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, yeah.
Yep, I wish I
He
had.
never tried that?
No, he was not comfortable with that. But in retrospect, every time I look at him deadlift, his legs were so damn big, he had to use a wide stance anyway. It's just like, well, hell, go out 6 inches more on each side, harness the strongest legs in the world, and become a sumo deadlifter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I look back and I say, you know, that might have been the biggest coaching mistake of your life, you know, not to insist on that. Because the boy had the power conventionally to pull 850. He did an 825 and an 800 double. And I just know that had he been able to stick with it, honestly, he kind of got bored with it. You know, it's just like you win. Well, what was it? Six worlds in a row, and really no competition. It wasn't like anybody was pushing him. He pretty much wiped everybody out, and so he just got tired of it. I remember we were trying to talk him into going to another national and worlds, and he'd go, you know, we were trying all these different rationales. I was like, well, how about this? I said, how about you go to the nationals, but you don't train? I said, you could certainly squat 800 even without training, right? Yes. You could certainly bench 475 without, yes, training. You could deadlift 750, right? I said, well, that wins. So I said, you could be the first lifter in history to win a national championships without training for it. Right? Right? You know, just as an enticement. Just
800 pounds without having to train.
Yeah, well, and he'd go like, well, sure, I could do 800 without training for it. I mean, that's nothing, right? And what else did we had all kinds of enticements, and in the end, he went, why? Why do I want to do this? So I can do this?
Yeah.
And he puts an imaginary finger on the chalkboard so he can have, you know, so I can go from 6 to 7, and then what? From 7 to 8, and he was just tired of the groove. And at the time, you had to compete in Europe or Asia. There was no world championships in the United States. We were locked out because of a lawsuit. So every year he had to raise money. Every year he had to get in a plane. He had to travel. He had to deal with, you know, bad food, and it's just a pain in the ass, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he just grew tired of it. And it's good that he did quit when he did, because when you grow tired of something and you continue to do it, that's when the bad injuries happen. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay. And he basically escaped intact. Yes, I know he's got some issues, but generally speaking, considering the amount of poundage he moved, he's pretty injury-free compared to, a lot of the other big-time lifters.
Yeah, I'm amazed at, how himself and you and a lot of these other guys have lifted such heavy poundage and are now, Kirk's in his 50s, you're in your 60s, and I mean, you don't have any back problems that I know of or any hip problems, and,
No, but it's
he's got some shoulder issues, but I think, that's about the extent of it.
None of the Cassidy guys had spine issues, because we squatted and we deadlifted with an upright torso.
Yeah.
So these guys that use the high hip with the shoulders in front of the bar deadlift style, you've got the spinal column becomes a derrick, right? Because you got to derrick that damn weight back up to lock out, and those are the guys that all had disc issues, because at some place on that spine there's going to be tremendous strain, because that's the fulcrum point. But our shoulders are always either over the bar or behind the bar, so all our vertebrae were stacked one atop the other, and we just basically we broke the bar from the floor with our legs and saved the hip hinge till the top. And Kirk's never had any spinal. Well, I'll let him speak for himself on his injuries, but none of us have had any major stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Technique is everything, very important, especially, and a lot of times we fail to think about getting older when we're that age and we're kicking ass and lifting heavy weights. And then 40s, 50s, 60s creeps up on you and you go, oh man, wait a minute. But you really have to think about that early, because I've had some back issues, and boy, I'll tell you, as strong as you are, or like to think you are, whatever, as much muscle as you have on you, you get a back injury, man, and it turns you into a little baby. So you got to really be careful with your back.
Yeah, and how do you be careful with your back? You don't use your spinal column as some sort of a lever.
Right. That's right.
It's up
All
there.
right, Coach. Great info here. I always love hearing the first-hand information about all these guys, especially Kirk.
Dr. Frankenstein.
He's a fascinating character for sure.
That's who you should address me.
Let's see. Let's talk about your weekly column. So anybody wanting to read your weekly column, Raw with Marty Gallagher, just go to ironcompany.com and go up to the articles button at the top, and you'll see all Marty's information there. His columns. He writes about anything from resistance training to nutrition to brain training to cardio training. Yep. Anything you want to know is on there, and he's listed and coached with some of the best.
The best.
So he's got great info.
The best.
You can see and hear this podcast. We record all these. We put them on our website. If you go down to the bottom of our website, it'll say podcast. Just click on that. You'll see everything that's archived. And Marty and Kirk are also available for online training. If you go to our athletes page, you will see their contact information there. You can contact them and set something up if you want to give your training a boost, or you just need some guidance. There's a couple of good guys to have on your side and to converse with and strategize with.
And look over your shoulder.
Karwoski squats, then you're going to love his new Karwoski Improved Power Bar.
Indeed.
Check that out at ironcompany.com.
It's blue.
And it's blue. It's beautiful. It's everything that he helped us design this, from the knurling to the specs, everything. It's IPS spec.
And he's a picky bitch.
Yeah. The hardest thing was getting the knurling
That's
just
right.
right.
That's
because
right.
we wanted it to be aggressive enough, but, you know, you also have to be careful. You don't want to saw people's heads off when they're squatting.
No, their throat when they do a power clean with the center knurling. No, it rips your skin off.
So check out his bar. It's a great bar. It's on our site. Just search for Karwoski and it'll come right up. And then, Marty, you've got a couple of books. You've got more than a couple, but I mean,
5.
a couple of main ones here. Purposeful Primitive. Everybody should have a copy of that if you're a weightlifter.
Copy should be issued with every barbell.
That's right. And by the way, for the Karwoski bar, while supplies last, if you guys order one, he will autograph an image. I think it's his 1003 squat that he's got, that he's signing autographs and sending those out. So you get one of those too.
He carries a Sharpie.
Marty's books, Purposeful Primitive, Strong Medicine. Check those out at ironcompany.com, Amazon, Dragon Door. They're all on there.
JP, did you hear what I said? I said Kirk carries a Sharpie.
I don't know if he does now, but he used to.
That's right.
And that Sharpie was busy.
Yes, busy, indeed.
It was a busy Sharpie for sure.
Well, we're going to get it busy again.
All right.
Roger that.
Good deal.
All right.
So until next time, may your squats be heavy and deep.
Thank you.
And we're signing off.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you. Perfect.
All right, see you. Bye.
Your squats be heavy and deep. I love that.